Today I'm showing you a French classic, French onion soup, and it is super amazing. It was a long time coming, this recipe, with a few tweaks here and there, because I really thought some of those changes will work in its favor. So let's get started right now and see how technique transforms these basic ingredients into an incredible dish. So I'm using both butter and olive oil for this French onion soup. They both go in a heavy bottom pot and you want to melt that down. I'm at medium heat right now, and you can add in your onions and just season it with some salt. Add a generous amount of it. We want the onions to start turning soft. Now once you see that they've started to release some of the water, it's sizzling a little bit, then turn the heat to medium-low. And now the hard work behind this recipe begins, because you want to very gently cook down these onions until they've naturally turned golden brown. We're not trying to burn these onions to get that color. We're trying to slowly caramelize them, which is going to slowly build a ton of flavor. And trust me, when we get to that spot where the onions have turned from this yellowish tinge to a really rich brown, just those onions themselves can go so well in so many kinds of dishes. What comes to mind right now are sliders. Those onions are almost like an onion jam. Now once the onions have turned golden brown just like this, then you want to add your white wine in to scrape up the bottom, to deglaze the pan, because there's a lot of flavor that we've developed over the past 40 to 50 minutes. Now this part is not traditional, and you can sub the Worcestershire sauce that I'm adding here with balsamic vinegar as well. Now it does help with some of the color, but it also just adds a bit of umami almost into this soup. It adds a note of tanginess into the flavor profile. We'll eventually be making a broth in here for the soup, so it in a way also makes the broth taste more meaty. It just makes it more robust. And same goes for if you're using balsamic vinegar instead. That also will add some acidity to the final soup. And now we add in the chicken stock. But I'm not using stock. I'm using a bouillon paste. I love this stuff. I'm using a chicken-based bouillon, and I'll tell you why in a bit. But to turn this into broth, we'll use a proper ratio and add a proper amount of water so that we have what would be about 4.5 to 5 cups of chicken broth. Now traditionally for the French onion soup, a beef broth is used, and that just helps make the soup really nice and rich. Using chicken stock though just makes it a bit lighter, but it still has some of that richness that you would not get by using a vegetable or a mushroom based broth. So that's why I've added the water along with some fresh sprigs of thyme and a bay leaf. Bring this up to a gentle simmer now. And once it is simmering, lower the heat and then gently cook this down. You can keep the pot uncovered, and about 20 to 30 minutes would be enough for these flavors to really melt together, to get richer, to get thicker. By the way, for thickness, for me, the thickness here after simmering it for about 25 minutes is perfect. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. But if you're looking for something that's thicker, if you're looking to use more broth to increase the body in the soup, then you can use flour. That's not traditional either. You would have added the flour after the wine and the Worcestershire sauce step and cooked it out for about 2 to 3 minutes to cook out the rawness of that flour. That will help naturally act as a thickening agent for the soup to make a thicker, more robust soupy texture. And once you have the final texture, now you want to season finally with salt and pepper to readjust it based on what you're looking for. The fun part now is transferring these into some oven-safe bowls. These ceramic bowls work perfectly for it, and I've portioned out some of the French onion soup in here. The broth itself right now and the onions are ready to eat, but you can't have a French onion soup without some nicely toasted baguettes, which I toasted under the broiler, and some rich Gruyere cheese. So be generous with it. Coat the top of the bread with the cheese. The portion back there, I'm on purpose putting some lesser cheese to make that portion a bit lighter for the other person who's eating the soup. This now goes under the broiler for about 3 to 5 minutes. You want to make sure that before you put this in the broiler that your soup is piping hot, because you don't want a cheesy molten top and an ice cold soup. It does stay really good in the fridge, so if you're planning on finishing the soup before serving the next day or in a couple of days, then do that. But make sure to heat it back up to temperature before you do the baguette and the cheese topping. So the one with the proper amount of cheese, you can see, is a really nice light golden brown color. It smells amazing in here. That Gruyere cheese is not only super tasty, but it smells amazing once toasted like this. But the final step here is to really bite in through the baguette and have some of this soup. And that was the best part. I don't know why I've never had French onion soup before. I've always known that it has to be tasty. It's like sauteed onions that just turn so uber sweet once cooked gently over a low flame. But I just never gave it a chance. But it is totally worth it. I totally underestimated it. And I think it's a good time for you to enjoy it, especially with all the snow that's going to be coming our way really soon, at least where I am. So warm up, enjoy some soup, have happy holidays, and enjoy 2025 because it's just around the corner. If you want to check out another amazing soup recipe, one of my personal favorites, then check out my roasted tomato soup. I'll see y'all next time.